Hello, it's your boy Mellow TMG. I'm here to provide you guys with the fight recap of Usyk for all the belts. I'm joking, not all the belts, but unified heavyweight championship of the world. We had the WBO, WBA, IBF titles on the line. And to be honest, I was there at the fight. I witnessed greatness unfolding before my eyes as Usyk, Oleksandr, the hitman Usyk as I like to call him. It took AJ to task, and AJ suffered his second defeat of his career. He now falls to 24-2. He does have 22 KOs. But first and foremost, I must start on AJ's side from what I saw, what I didn't see. Boy, AJ was tentative. He was gun shy. He was reluctant to unload. And the game plan that they implemented on the day, him and his team, I don't know, someone's got a lot of explaining to do because I don't know how and I don't know why that game plan was conceived. The execution of that game plan, I don't know why they chose that game plan. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's a saying in boxing, you don't try to outbox the boxer and you don't try to outpunch the puncher. Basically, if someone is a better boxer than you in terms of skills, you don't outbox them, you punch them. So you punch the boxer, and if someone's a bigger puncher than you, you don't try to outpunch them, you outbox them. And AJ, he fell foul of that rule. You don't do that. Literally, I don't know why he did that. There's no way he's going to outbox Usyk. Usyk is just too skilled. He has too many reps. He's been doing it for way too long. I mean, AJ came to the sport at the age of 18. Usyk's been doing it most likely before he was 10 years old. I mean, you don't outbox those guys. He comes from the Ukrainian school with, Anthony Lomachenko. They take dancing lessons to work on their footwork. You don't do that stuff. You don't use your attributes. And that's why the execution is from AJ's side, him and his team, I feel is so poor. I believe it's so poor because AJ, he has all the abilities, all the tangibles to be the best heavyweight in the world. But the execution, the tactics, the intangibles, boy, they're lacking big time. I don't know why they decided to deploy that tactic and that game plan because it didn't make any sense. AJ was lacking combinations. He was unwilling to let his hands go. And he was unwilling to use his size, prove to be the bigger man, show Usyk who's boss, who's the big daddy in the ring. He did none of that. He did absolutely none of that. I mean, also as well, we've got to question his heart here. I mean, because when AJ loses, he doesn't give you the impression that he's left everything out there on the line. He just doesn't give you that impression. I mean, especially, playing devil's advocate, just doesn't give you that impression. I mean, the Ruiz fight, the first one he got up a few times. I give him huge credit there. But this fight, you just felt he had so much more to give and do, and he wasn't willing to let his hands go. He wasn't willing to, leave it all in the ring per se. And in times of adversity, those are sometimes the places you need to go to in order to reach those things, in order to achieve what you want to achieve. You want to reach the highest level, sometimes you've got to give your all. Like, as it comes up to time, when it's not all about technical ability and skills, it's about who wants it more. How far are you willing to go to prove that you want it more and to show that you want it more? And I don't know, for whatever reason, AJ doesn't give me the impression that he's giving absolutely everything in the ring. I mean, maybe he's afraid of taking significant blows on the chin. I don't know. I mean, ever since the Ruiz fight, he's been a bit reluctant to really, put himself in the eye of the fire, in range of getting hurt, receiving damage. I mean, he's tried to become a lot more technical, which I do appreciate, the sport of boxers to hit and not get hit at the end of the day, but it seems like he's taking it a bit too far. And I'm going to go back to the game plan as well. It's like he had something to prove to his people, like he wanted to prove a point. And it goes into my other point as well, like, it's like he has an identity crisis, like, because AJ, obviously, he has a lot of skills, good combination puncher, good power, good diametrics, good reach, can box from the outside, box mid-range, uppercuts, good punch selection, his feet okay. I can do a lot of things pretty well, but I feel like the identity of when to deploy certain tactics is getting into his head. It's like an overload. And that's probably part of the reason why they decided to deploy that awful game plan against a much superior boxer. But, to finish on the AJ part, there comes a time in life in all walks of life, but you need to make tough decisions. Very, very, very tough decisions where you need to let people go. You need to cut people off. You need to let people go. You need to stop seeing them as much. And it's not necessarily because you don't like them. Shout out my boy KB, because we had this discussion. It's not necessarily because I don't. And we had a bit of a disagreement. He kind of says it was personal. I'm saying it's not personal like that. As in, it's not like I don't like you, but I do know if I spend XYZ amount of time with you, it will potentially impede me from reaching the goals I want to reach, because we're not moving in the same direction. You're on some other stuff. I'm on some other stuff. At the end of the day, for me to get to where I need to get to, you're gonna be an impediment to my road to success. And you need to surround yourself with like-minded individuals and people want to keep it 100% real with you. And in my opinion, after that fight, it's time for AJ to make that tough call and get rid of his trainer Rob McCracken, because in times of crisis, Rob McCracken can't flip the switch that's required for AJ to get to the next level, or to sustain his the level required, or to get to the next gear. He just can't flip that switch. I've seen it way too many times now. Like other great fighters, other great trainers, Angelo Dundee, he's able to flip the switch for Sugar Ray Robinson against Tommy Hearns in, I believe, 1981, for him to go to the next gear. You're blowing it, son. That resonated with Sugar Ray Leonard, for him to go to the next level. I don't know if Rob McCracken can do that. I mean, during the whole fight, when I watched it back, especially, just hear him and his camp saying, beautiful, beautiful. Ed just gets smacked up. He's getting outboxed, outmaneuvered. He's losing rounds, and they're saying, beautiful, beautiful. That's not going to get the job done at the end of the day, and it so happened to be the case. It's just, wow. I mean, that's what the tough decisions need to be made. And I feel if AJ doesn't make that tough decisions, he will not be able to be what many of his believers and fans want him to be. He won't be able to reach his full potential, because they're just not going to be able to take him to that level. I mean, in terms of trainers, who can he go to? There's a few trainers that I want to point out. There's Derek James, who works with Errol Spence and one of the Charlie brothers. There's Virgil Hunter. He's worked with Amir Khan and Andre Ward. Abel Sanchez also worked with Golovkin. There's Teddy Atlas, who used to train Mike Tyson, who may be the best because he has the most heavyweight experience, I believe. There's Dominic Ingle from Sheffield as well. So if AJ wants to keep it local, there's also Dominic Ingle, who used to train Kell Brook. I believe he still does. But these are the people that he needs to look into to bring in and get rid of Rob McCracken. I'm sorry. You just can't flip that switch for you, in my opinion. Also, as well, AJ's triggered the rematch clause as expected. So in the spring of 2022, they will look to get on, and we'll see what can be done in that regard. But now moving on to Usyk, Oleksandr the Hitman Usyk. The reason I call him the Hitman Usyk, I mean, according to BoxRec, he has no nickname, which I feel he needs to create one. But then again, he's not really concerned about being a superstar, creating, building his brand. He's a quiet guy, behind the scenes, family man, all that sort of stuff. But Usyk, he's just a hitman, because in the build up to the fight, his eyeballs as well, he's just so mentally in tune. And that's where another part I feel like he duped AJ. I mean, AJ, the two fights he's lost, he's like he's been pally-pally with these guys. He's unable to flip that said switch I mentioned just before. I mean, but Usyk he always knew what the task was. He always knew the task at hand. Whether it was being pally-pally with AJ, he kind of like lulled AJ into a sense of comfortability and, took that fire out of his belly that AJ needed in order to win the fight. But yeah, I mean, I was there at the fight. Usyk, he completely dominated AJ, especially in the early rounds. And he silenced the crowd. He just took all the crowd advantage, the fans away in the first 3 rounds. Just took it straight away. It went quiet. Especially when he hit AJ with that razor sharp straight in the first 10 to 15 seconds. And boy, it was mad. I mean, Usyk, he dominated in the beginning and he dominated at the end. So he started at an electric pace and he closed the show, as great champions do. And in my opinion, he won anything from 9-3 or 8-4 on my scorecards. I mean, I think I ended up scoring 116 to 111. Because personally, I gave that last round a 10-8 round, even though he didn't knock out AJ. But the amount of blows and trouble he put AJ in, I mean, it was crazy. I mean, I gave AJ rounds 4, 5, and 6 definitively. 8 and 9, they're kind of toss-ups. I probably would have given him 8, 9, especially it was more of a toss-up. But boy, yes, it was crazy. But his game plan was exceptional. He methodically just took down AJ. He landed his overhand left. He landed a straight all night. His head movement was elite. His foot movement was elite. His fitness base elite. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, also with the jab, the left straight, he was able to land on AJ. It came from a subtle tactical nuance that they picked up on. I mean, because AJ, what he does with his jab, he likes to extend it, extend the jab, kind of, of a range finder. Sometimes he will ramrod it, but his jab does many different things. Obviously to set up punches, also to keep distance, but also to stop you from attacking. That there's a breakdown of a video I watched, I put in the description. He puts that jab out to just stop you from initiating your attacks. So you have to reset and reset and reset. And by the time you reset, he comes over the right to hit you. But Usyk, he kind of feinted and lulled AJ into extending that left. And when he did that, because he's so quick and so elusive, unlike all the other heavyweights AJ's ever going to face, he was able to counter AJ quickly. So when AJ putting that palm out, or putting that left hand out to kind of, offset Usyk, Usyk slipping under, boom, hitting him, counter. And that kind of made AJ more reluctant to throw punches, which is true, to be fair. But yeah, I mean, he feinted AJ heavily throughout the fight. He wobbled AJ multiple times. I mean, even though Usyk took a lot of damage as well, especially if you look at his face. But I don't remember a point in the fight where Usyk was wobbled or in any sort of danger. It was crazy. But with his foot movement, his constant movement, it's a mental drainage on you. And, from experience, when you're mentally drained, it converts over to the physical. Mentality is the most important, in my opinion, over the three categories: technical and physical and mental. When someone can just drain you mentally, you're done for. But yeah, Usyk, maybe he's just staggering at the end of the day. I mean, he has it all, apart from, especially at the heavyweight division, apart from, real knockout power. He hasn't knocked out any of his, the 3 fights he's faced. But, as he goes through the ranks, that may become a problem even in a rematch to keep people off him. But yeah, he's the most skilled boxer, arguably, in my opinion, out there. I mean, he literally has it all. And in my opinion, he's also an all-time great after this win, even if he does lose the rematch. Cruiserweight champion, world heavyweight champion. He's now, he's a gold medalist, undisputed cruiserweight champion, unified heavyweight champion. He's now pound for pound at least number 2 for me, and he's pushing for number 1. If he wins the rematch, definitely number 1, without doubt. I mean, I don't care if Canelo gets undisputed at 4 belts. If Usyk wins the rematch, boy, without doubt, is undisputed number 1. But now Usyk, he moves to 19-0, 13 KOs. And here's a little question I'll leave for you guys in the comments. Is he now broaching Evander Holyfield territory as now the best cruiserweight of all time? I feel he's second. David Hayes are in and around there. Obviously, Evander Holyfield is the standard. Evander, the real deal Holyfield, time that AJ and his team were missing, because none of them boys are real. But that's, I'll touch on that a bit later. But yeah, that's a good question I want to leave you guys. Is he in the same breath as Evander Holyfield, or is he even better, or is he a bit worse? Let me know what you guys think. It's crazy. But yeah, some statistics for you guys. A lot of people, we live in a statistical era today. But yeah, Usyk landed 148 punches. By far the most a Joshua opponent has ever landed on him. Like I said, Usyk closed the show by landing 29 punches. Hence why I gave the last round a 10-8 round, in my opinion, even though they didn't knock down AJ. Again, by far the most an AJ opponent has landed against him in the 12th round. AJ only landed 15 body punches to Usyk's 28. So what AJ needed to be doing, Usyk ended up doing it to him. I mean, when you're facing a guy, foot movement, head movement, hand speed is elite. So if you're facing a faster fighter, general knowledge is to attack the body. Attack the body and the head will fall. If AJ landed at least 10 more solid body punches, the fight could have been completely different. Because every time he did land it, Usyk felt it, especially the powerful ones. The jabs maybe not as much, but they build up at the end of the day. Boy. I mean, but that leads on to my last segment here. The rematch and adjustments AJ needs to make. The number 1 is he needs to attack the body more. 110%. You need to commit to attacking the body. Uppercuts, hooks, jabs, straight, attack that body, beat that drum. You need to work on closing off the ring, trying to corner Usyk into areas he doesn't want to be in, and let your hands go. You need to rough him up. You need to let him know he's been there with a raw heavyweight. AJ, you're a big man, muscles bound. use your muscles, use your size, rest on him. AJ's not necessarily known for wrestling and in a clinch like that, but you're gonna need to do it to wear this guy down. There's like a few exploit he did against Wilder, or has been doing against Wilder in the last 3 fights. Drain extra energy from him. If you could put him in headlocks, wrestle the guy, wait for the referee to actually disperse you guys. But like I said, for AJ to win this rematch, he's gonna have to go to places he's never been before. Because Usyk won't lie down. He won't do an Andrew Ruiz. He won't come in overweight. He won't come in on focus. His confidence is gonna be through the roof. So Usyk may even be better than he was before, and AJ has to be prepared for that, and he has to be prepared to go to places he's never been before. Hence why I said the heart. He's got to display and show heart that I don't think I've ever seen from him, especially at this level. You could argue against Klitschko, but then again, on the other side of the coin, Klitschko was, a 40-year-old man past his prime. Usyk is smack bang in the middle of his prime. So AJ's gonna have to show me and the public stuff that we've never seen before. Like I said, he's gotta make the fight a brawl, not a boxing match. Out punch the boxer. That's gotta be the number one on his agenda. He needs to show more aggression. He needs to be prepared to go 12 fast-paced rounds. Maybe his tank. I won't discredit him too much about his tank and his energy and stamina, because Usyk is just that much of an elite fitness freak when it comes to the stamina, the longevity, and the ability to last, and the pace he fights out. But to circumvent that, AJ needs to control the fight. He needs to control the center ring. The fight needs to be fought at his pace. If he's able to do these things, the stamina won't be that much of an issue as it was in the first fight. And he can't bat on the feints as well. He can't. He needs to set more traps. Also as well, he needs to be aware of the foot placement. General knowledge as well when you're facing on southpaw. When it's a southpaw against an orthodox fighter, the guy who gets the outside footing with the lead foot is the guy that usually is in control of the fight. And Usyk was able to do that, and that's why I was able to land so many straights and uppercuts and punches on AJ. AJ's got to be more aware of that and try to control that area. But AJ needs to make adjustments in this fight, because there are going to be adjustments needed. Unless he knocks him out, Usyk's an exceptional fighter. The brain trust there is immense, and he can make adjustments. He can go to different levels. He can change the tempo. AJ's got to be able to have a plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. He's going to have so many wrinkles to his game for this rematch in order for him to be successful. But to conclude, I'll leave you with this thing to think on, or maybe to talk about in the comments. Is AJ more friend Bruno or more Lennox Lewis? That's a question he needs to ask himself, and also for you guys, I'll ask you guys that as well. The reason I say that is, he gonna be a good heavyweight. He won a belt. I believe Bruno won a belt, but he wasn't an elite all-time great. Or is he gonna be an elite all-time great like Lennox Lewis? Undisputed, many defenses, avenged all his defeats. Even though he's a bit underrated in my opinion, but he's gone down as one of the greatest heavyweights to ever do it, and I believe he's the top 5 heavyweight of all time. You got he's had a great career. He's greater than Mike Tyson, greater than Evander Holyfield. He's the greatest of his era. You have Joe Louis, Ali, and that's about it. The guys, maybe George Foreman's going to put him up there, but that's about it in terms of the guys that are that are above Lennox Lewis, in my opinion. Lewis is right up there. But yeah, it's your boy Mello. Make sure you like and subscribe. Follow us on all socials. That'll be the Instagram and the Twitter. Make sure listen to us audibly, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Make sure you follow us on Instagram as well. As like I said, subscribe on YouTube. It's your boy Mello TMG. I'm out.